The aim of this recording is to provide every listener with an understanding of and the reason for the increase in negativity around the world. It provides the means to assist you to remain steadfast and respectful to God's command of peace, love, mercy, compassion, and forgiveness of others in all your interactions with them. While much will be explained in this recording, the information is more fully set out in the Testament of Truth website. This site incorporates the Mental Health Carers Manual, which explains the cause for the global increase in mental disturbance. In an effort to spread this information as widely as possible, the author of the Testament of Truth, Terence, together with Jill and myself, Clemencia, will speak on this tape so that everyone can benefit from the insight and wisdom that has unfolded in our journey over the past 20 years. Our aim is also to help you to understand why there is so much turmoil and strife in the world, in the workplace, and more particularly in the family. The recording is to help all understand why so many individuals are becoming more negative, angry, and abusive. It will also assist you to help yourselves to not become a part of the process of retaliating in the face of aggression, particularly since such aggression is now on the increase. As you will know from your own family experiences, the escalation of family violence, whether that takes the form of verbal, emotional, or even physical abuse, is in evidence in many, many families, a process that is now taking place in families worldwide. You can observe this on your television screens every night of the week, but it is also in evidence in the workplace, on the streets as individuals get out of their car to hit somebody, and throughout the many countries where whole communities are now openly expressing their angry, negative emotions. These outbursts are the result of ever-intensifying negative feelings. What we are all experiencing is that the power of our own negative emotions is on the increase, and that this in itself is resulting in our thought processes sometimes becoming so overwhelmingly intense that people are unable to control them any longer. The result is ever-increasing negativity via confrontation. While we can all see that the results of these processes are verbal abuse, dissent, frustration and aggression, what we do not so readily see or even comprehend is that it is our own negative emotions which, responding as they do to the verbal abuse thrown at us, then causes further disharmony, further hurt and confusion, which often ends up in disunity as relationships deteriorate, ultimately resulting in family disintegration. While many people believe in the world of spirit, unbeknown to most people is the spiritual reality that our mind is also linked through to other realms of consciousness, wherein people known as spirits live. In other words, the interaction between spirit minds and our minds is far more common than we know, as spirit beings who once walked this world in the biological flesh are now linking into our minds, but doing so telepathically. Some of these spirits beings are not only aware of our emotions, but also very attuned to our thought processes. The question is, why is this so? Well, this is due to the vibration of our energy that is comprised of both our positive or negative emotions, meaning that we have both the energy of fear and love, of anger and hatred, or of jealousy and forgiveness. All the opposite energies are ours, ranging from ultimate positive energy to ultimate negative energy. And it is the vibration of our energy which creates a bridge, a link to corresponding levels of consciousness where the spirits are also feeling the particular level of energy that we are experiencing. From the ultimate highest level of positive energy, way up high in the light, where only joy and happiness exist, there is the energy of pure love and absolute light. Then down to the ultimate lowest level of negative energy, way below in the dark, where there is fear and aggression, and where the energy is pure destruction. There is also hatred and controlling negativity from these levels, and every level in between. We can have spirits linking into our minds from any of these levels. Which spirits link into us depends solely upon what negative level of energy we have used in our daily interaction with others. For while the light energy never interferes in our minds, the sole purpose of the dark energy is to ultimately control us to such an extent that we no longer are able to be the light in action. Since all of creation, including us, is made of energy, and that energy has a continuum from the ultimate light to the ultimate dark, positive and negative, we are all interconnected through the energy we use, and it is this which allows the link between us and the spirits at other levels of consciousness, more particularly those whose minds have similar emotions vibrating at the same frequency as those with which we are feeling. So, when you are feeling particularly negative, thoughts incited by anger or jealousy or fear come streaming into your mind as your negative emotions hum at the tip of the ultimate negative frequency. And you are in fact then attracting like spirits to match the vibration of your negative energy. Now when you allow thoughts to flow endlessly, they possess your mind, and once your mind is breached, you search for all the nasty and hurtful things you can say to the person who is hurting you. And at that moment, the outcome of these thoughts is not only what you think, or for that matter what you feel, but you have opened yourself up to be joined by the feelings of other spirits whose souls are vibrating at the same negative frequency as you are. I have often experienced families saying that it seems as if all the pain they are experiencing during family altercations of violence or abuse seem to have started out of nothing really, but then ended up with so much verbal abuse, accusation and recrimination that it is hard to believe that this is a family whose members openly declare love for each other. It is important to understand that any negative altercation is backed by the invisible power of the dark, a force which manifests itself through the spirit of people from dark realms as thoughts into your mind. These thoughts from the dark realm often appear to you to be absolutely justified, and in fact they are, because in reality the recipient of your verbal abuse is actually now reaping what they sowed sometime in the past. Unfortunately, if you are the person dealing out the payback for the recipient, you are also the person who will have to receive that payback at some time in the future. In the moments of greatest turmoil in family fights, what you do not recognize is that such negative abuse is your responsibility, even when the other persons are linking into your mind from dark or malignant realms, where thoughts are deceptive, misleading or destructive. You are responsible for giving voice to their thoughts. This is the reason why you must become aware of thoughts used during very negative interactions with family members. Why you must be alert to the possibility that it is your negativity that is attracting like negative spirits to help you by giving you the ammunition with which to fire back at the one with whom you are fighting. because it is not only the thoughts of spirit others, but your own negative emotions which, when combined, keeps you all hopping on the same negative path, endlessly. You must also be aware that thoughts may force the unwary to cause harm to themselves or to others, and the result of this telepathic communication from spirits is that people do things that they know they would normally never do when in their right mind, or positive. Naturally, we need not be concerned with our positive, loving emotional links as to higher realms, because spirit people on that frequency in the lighter realms are benign. They are respectful and kind, compassionate and considerate, and truthful. They would never think of interfering in the mind of any other unless they were inspired by the Source, God, to inspire us in some way and uplift our spirits. The next question is, why do spirits in the dark wish to control us and cause fragmentation and harm? The answer is because the dark has a duty to itself to fulfill its own one law, that law being that as you do to others will be done to you. Dark spirit beings try and use those in the flesh, us, to cause harm to people on this level, because it is their job for the dark to do that, to cause us to feel exactly the same harm that we caused some other at some time in our past, whether that is in this lifetime or in a pre-existent time when we were in spirit only. Because the three of us are educators, we simply seek to not only uplift your spirits and minds by assisting you to calm your emotions, but we also seek to do the same for those other beings, people in distant spiritual realms, who are linked into you, and thereby benefiting from this recording. I will end here and pass on to Terence, who will be speaking directly to those in far distant realms who are listening via your minds, because this way some of them may decide to halt their intrusion into your mind, and they will then also feel less pressured mentally and emotionally. You will, however, need to say the Star Prayer 3 times a day, and you also need to read the brief summary of the message to humanity to enable you to remain steady during the very difficult times at hand, as everyone pays their spiritual dues and dark emotions are purged from many during the intense spiritual cleansing taking place invisibly in the soul of mankind.
Okay, I just wish to welcome all the spirit people who are linking into any of us from realms outside of and below the pure light. There are thousands of levels of consciousness between the light and the dark below, and these are all separated by their unique frequency vibration. When we leave the flesh of this world, our spirit soul is drawn swiftly to the level corresponding to the vibration of our unique spirit soul. Thus we have no choice as to where we will end up, as that is dependent upon our inner energy mass. People living in spiritual realms may not be aware that there are many other realms above or below their place of existence. When created spiritually, we are pure white souls living in paradise, but due to defiance of God's command, we draw in darkness, negative energy, as we use force and cause others to suffer in some way through our control or interference or punitive actions. At that very moment, we take on negative energy that not only contaminates our soul and draws it away to a level below paradise, but it places us in the punitive aspect of God's law, and we have to suffer the exact same as our victim was forced to endure from our words or deeds. Now some of us in the flesh of this world have come into this level direct from the pure light to assist others. And we have taken on some negative emotions, which will now link us to lower levels of consciousness, so we can reach and educate spirits living in these lower realms, as I am doing at this moment. If you are one of these helpers, then predeceasing, or at the moment of passing over, your spirit soul is cleansed of this darkness within, and your enlightened spirit returns to the light. So, whatever is being said here, for example, or whatever is being said at anyone's house at any time, is heard on other levels of consciousness, as there are many invisible listeners from other realms tuning in to the frequency emitted by the vibration of our soul. We all have come into the biological flesh with emotions of fear or anger or jealousy or criticism, etc. And these emotions run at a variety of intensities, from a small amount of energy to a huge mass of energy, incalculable basically. So when some people get critical or envious or jealous, in some it can be a small amount, in others it can be huge. And it is these combinations of emotions that are different in everybody. So none of us have the same processes running at the same time. And the mass of this dark energy resulting is what links us to those in spirit in many levels having the same energy mass. So I'd like all the spirits who are linking into us now to understand that they are where they are because they have taken themselves there through their own defiance of the light of God, which says, "Try and stay on the light side of the river and only express positivity." If you want to step onto the other side of the river and revel in muddy water and express negativity, then that is your freedom of choice. But you are drawing in negative energy whilst you're doing that. When you're expressing benign activity, you are drawing in light energy. And ultimately, whatever energy you use has to return to the user, because that is the balancing of the energy as it fulfills its own law, benign or malignant. So if you express benign energy, it is going to return to you via others. If you express negative energy, it is going to return to you via others. The problem is that when a punitive or painful return of dark energy comes to you, that is the moment when its telepathic justification comes into your mind, telling you to retaliate. And if you do, and you cause the other to suffer more, on and on goes the suffering. That goes for everybody in the universe who resides outside the pure light, because, as yet, all are merciful and unforgiving and have been falsely taught to defend themselves. In the light, the pure light, everyone is happy because they spend all their eternal time doing nice things to each other, and it's all coming back positive, and joy and happiness abounds. In the lower realms, people who are mentally controlled totally by the dark can only be vindictive. They cause pain and suffer pain, and on in perpetuity, drawing in more dark energy, and ultimately they end up in the pit of oblivion, suffering eternal anguish. So we are in the flesh here for a number of reasons, but the principal reason is because at this end time we need to reach as many people in those spiritual levels of consciousness as we can. And this is done by God sending spirits into this realm who have come from many levels of consciousness. I'd imagine a lot of levels, because 8 billion souls here would all have different energies, so the vibration of their unique soul opens the doorway to those levels and permits telepathic thought transmission to many. Whenever you feel justified in being critical or retributive, it ends up as a thought coming telepathically from the dark via your negative energy into your mind from people at particular level who are seeking to link in to your mind. And as soon as your emotions hum on their wavelength, then their thoughts just come through possessively. And a lot of people cannot stop these thoughts coming into their minds. Neither do those in spirit know that what they are transmitting is also flowing into their minds from even lower levels, and they are being but a conduit, so to speak, to your mind. The thing is that neither they nor us may be able to stop a thought from coming in, but we all need to try and halt reacting to it. What I'm saying applies to everyone listening, all linking in from other realms. Hopefully there's a lot of people receiving this benefit. Right now, all of you spirit people on these other levels who desperately want to get out of your situation are reliant upon help from us in the flesh, because we give you the wisdom of how to do it, and you have got to individually also fortify your minds against thought intrusion and try and override the automatic negative response of transmitting your thoughts to others to assist them in retribution. You all must also say the star prayer often, at the same time as those in the flesh are doing so, or at any time you so wish to. Simply say, Creator of the heavens, Mother of love, I see your star shining above. Please cleanse my mind with all your love, so that I may heed your call of peace from above. And this goes for everybody in this world, as there is an intensification of negative energy in people, because the purification of the light taking place is really intensifying. This is the light spiritual energy, and it is actually drawing the negative energy out of everyone. The time taken for a negative emotion to surface is shortening now because of this intensification of the light being so strong. And minds are also reached more easily from the dark because of the negative emotions. For as they surface to clear, they are a bit like the kettle coming to the boil, and the particular emotion gets much stronger, and people are less able to remain calm and non-retributive. In fact, the day before a negative emotion clears from your soul, or a few days before, I would defy anyone to stay rational in that moment, because it can be an extremely irrational process for anyone. So, what we've got to look forward to, fortunately and unfortunately, is an escalation of emotions within which are surfacing. And because they are of the dark, and because the dark is totally justified in what it does, which is to mete out retributive payback on the negative aspect of God's law, great travail and suffering is in store for a time and a time, as many become very destructive. Fortunately, the end result of this process is that those who obey God and do not retaliate will be freed within of a certain amount of negative energy. So when you have 2 or 3 people living in a house as a family, the dark is going to be doing its best to mete out karmic payback using these people, because they are in close family proximity, and everyone has some spiritual dues to be met. So it is going to be a very difficult process for family members to stay rational as strong emotions surface. Just do the very best you can, as it is the destiny of your unique soul that is at stake. So all I or you can give to anybody is to pass on the wisdom of the light, being fortify your mind, using the star prayer, and do not criticize others nor fight them. We have just got to do our absolute utmost to walk in the light at all times. It doesn't matter what anyone says to us or does to us. We have to try and bite our tongue and keep quiet and not retaliate verbally or physically. There is a Swahili word, nyamaza, which means shut up, that comes to mind. Don't retaliate, because if you do, then you are just going to add fuel to the fire. This is the difficulty. Depending upon the emotion, if it's fear, a person can get very depressed. If it's anger, then the person is going to get more angry. If it's jealousy, then a person is going to be insanely jealous for a time. People will experience many different negative emotions, and the emotions will come and go one after the other over the months ahead. This process is going to keep going until the great outpouring of intensifying light slows again for another eternity or so. If any person retaliates through their justification to so do, then they are just going to add to their spiritual burden and suffering, because they are drawing in more dark energy, and that slows their inner purification. As I see it, the outpouring light is going to benefit everyone in spirit and in the flesh of this world. It doesn't matter what level of consciousness people are on. Everyone is going to go up a little bit. The nearer we are to the light, the more we will go up. The further away from the light people are living, they will go up a lesser amount, as greater is the darkness within them to be drawn out. If you can hold fast and not accrue more of the karmic dues, then your suffering is to be less. So that is the thing. If someone wants to kick you in the shin, by all means you can run away, or you can say to them, "Why do this to me?" Because you're going to take that due upon yourself. If they are determined to do it, well, they're going to do it. Just do not retaliate. Whatever anyone does to you, just be thankful that in not retaliating, you have cleared some past spiritual due. It is as simple as that. I would like to tell all you spirit people listening to endeavour to not interfere telepathically into the lives of other people on other levels of consciousness. Some of you may be trying to help people here, and you telepathically say turn left at the street instead of right, because there's something nice for them there. But some of you may say turn right, because you know there's someone there who's going to abuse your victim. Ultimately, any telepathic instruction from you into the mind of any other in another level of consciousness is interference and control by you that ultimately causes you harm. Also, on your spiritual levels, there is interference from lower levels into your minds, and the intruders have got to ask themselves why they are justified in interfering into your minds. And they need to ask themselves, from where did my thoughts come that gave me the justification to do that? All of you listening to my voice now need to think whether you are going to continue on interfering in people's minds or not. Please try and help yourself to not accrue any more negative dues. The energy we all use is God's energy, be it benign or malignant, creative or destructive, positive or negative, and we are entitled to use any of it. But we have to pay the painful price if we use the dark stuff in our interaction with other children of God. Now, we cannot halt what we feel. We may not be able to halt what we think, but we can try and not speak it or act out what our thoughts are justifying, because they may in fact be driving us to do something to another that is cruel, unkind, malicious or retributive, and all these activities are in contravention of God's command to go your way in peace, love one another, be merciful, compassionate and forgiving unto all others who are yet sinfully living. You need to also understand that as we use either of these available energies of God, that some of it remains within our spirit soul. That is the eternal process we need to understand. The more destructive dark energy we use, the more it contaminates our soul and causes the vibration of one's soul, and the further away from the light it falls. The more benign creative energy we use, the brighter our soul becomes, and the higher up towards the pure light it goes, and the happier we become, freedom from suffering and constraint. Man needs to now understand that the clandestine enemy of man is God the Father. It is he who uses his dark energy to fulfill the punitive aspect of his law against any that defied him and trespassed into the dark territory, a place forbidden by him to enter, being the use of his destructive essence in their interaction with his other children. Foolish is any person who finds the justification to abuse God's creation. Every individual is personally responsible for their retributive, vengeful and punitive action against the other. All need to understand that when anyone uses this critical destructive energy that justifies their negative interaction, that they are in fact meting out divine retribution emanating from the source via others in spirit using them. As it is God's energy of darkness that fulfills its own law, it follows that if it is being fulfilled through your mind, voice or hand, then you will by God be forced to suffer the same fate at a later day. Equally, as it is God the creative light that fulfills her own benign energy law via spirits of well-being, when you are merciful, kind, loving and forgiving, that the same benign return becomes your fate at the hands of others on a later date. If you wish to judge the actions of another you see as erring, then simply judge them as to whether or not they need your good counsel, not whether they need to be punished. Education is the only benign way forward. Help the lost, and God will smile upon you. If you persecute others in the belief that you are as God or above God, then God will destroy your soul. You all need to fully comprehend that. If you continue to use dark energy in your interaction with others, that the dark energy operating through others will eventually smash you into submission. Let it be clearly understood that all who continue to now use darkness are eventually by it destroyed. Religion has failed man, for it preaches forgiveness to sinners for a monetary fee. God forgives no one. All are subject to his one immutable law. As you do is done unto you. That is absolute justice. Absolute freedom of expression and happiness with no control or restriction only exists in the realm of pure light. The deeper your soul descends into realms below that space, the more control and restriction and suffering is imposed by the Overlord, God. Gillian will now say a few words to help you on your way each day. It is entirely your choice to assist yourself and others through the difficult times at hand. I wish you well.
I just wish to add a few words to assist you all on your road. I now read out my daily practice that you need to read and observe after doing the Star Prayer. Be aware of your own thoughts and feelings. Be the light in action at all times, in all situations. Be observant of unkind thoughts within self that would you snare. Be respectful, kind and forgiving and understanding in every situation. Be aware of the negativity that exists within. Teach others of its reality. Be vigilant, for your own thoughts become your deeds which form your judgment. Know that what we put out comes back to us, good or bad, and that only through the Star Prayer can the spell of negative thought be stemmed or broken. Know that in doing the Star Prayer you are trying to be true to the source of light. and you personally will halt the ingress of negativity and have a greater chance of not retaliating when adverse situations occur. Do keep your mouth shut when your emotions are running high. Do not let any day be coloured by the past or by concern for the future. Do practice stopping negative thoughts as they enter your mind. Say the Star Prayer 3 times a day, and say, I am now filled with your divine love, that is the wisdom of the word, peace, not the sword. The wisdom of the word is eternally present. That is the light that shows the error that be in me. The reality being, the more we do the Star Prayer, the more love waters the rose within our souls and fortifies our minds and calms the emotions. The more love exposed to our consciousness and those linked to us, the greater the clarity to see and understand the reality and nature of negativity, being the sin, the darkness, and through its deception and cunning, it keeps us ignorant of its existence, thus its control over us and our bondage to it. The more love flows to us through our choice and assists us now to make an effort to never allow negativity to be expressed through us, whatever the circumstances, feelings or thoughts. Thus our part is the doing, and God will do the rest. This task, love's task, for love's sake, is the only most worthwhile task there is for me, you, or anyone. Remember the centre of your soul, God's kingdom be. The more you cloud this light with negativity, the harder it gets to see reality. Daily say these words to God, your light is eternally present, and I know that you created my soul with both of your energies, and therefore my spirit soul lives on forever, and it expresses your infinite ideas, be they good or bad. So there is no need for vanity, for all that is given through me emanates from you, the Creator. Love will fulfill its promise, being that if we, its only loving, call heed, then it will free us of our darkness within. No individual can do this for another. Love is freedom of choice. Education is the way forward today. We three wish you well on your journey.